Greetings, everyone. We are recording. Okay. Just catch you guys up on the books I've been reading. Red Seas Under Red Skies. Finished this one today. Took me a while to read it. It was a little bit longer than I thought it was going to be. Probably a little bit longer than it needed to be. I give it a 4.4 out of 5 stars, so it rounded down to 4 stars. It was almost 4.5. It just didn't have the same... I don't know, the first book was way more fun. The first book is about a guy who's a thief, and he trains... or he's being trained to be a thief with a guild of thieves, but then like a lot of them died in it. But he and his friend Gene escaped all this craziness, and they go to this other town where they kind of start a bunch more schemes and like plans to like rip people off. And they're in this casino that every time you do good at gambling, you go up to the next floor, and they get to like the 5th floor, and it's like they have these crazy plans to rob this guy that involve building some chairs, these weird chairs that had like thieves' equipment hidden inside of it, and it didn't really pay off till the very end. So it's like the whole time you're wondering, what the fuck's up with these chairs? And then there's this guy who's like the leader of the town, like the governor. They're also dealing with this Bond Magi that they cut his fingers off and stuff, so his tongue, so he couldn't do magic. They sent him back to the wizards, the 400 wizards that get revenge on you. So they're still like, they're pissed off now, and they're like after him, sort of. And they keep having these random guys show up and try to assassinate him, which luckily it never works out. Like they almost got poisoned because they give their beer to somebody because he wasn't thirsty, and then that guy died. It's just like, it's just weird stuff that didn't seem like it would happen in real life. And then they ended up, like, a lot of this book is like on a pirate ship. So it's like, if you like pirates, there's a lot of piratey stuff in it. Like, the governor hires them to start a bunch of shit and get the pirates doing stuff so that he gets the army on his side. So they don't know anything about being a pirate, so they have to like be trained. And then he gives them his ship, and they immediately lose it because the guy that was actually like being like the real captain of the ship has a heart attack and dies. So they're like, we don't know what the fuck we're doing. And they just lose the ship. So then they start working for the pirates that stole their ship, and they become really good friends with them. And then Jean falls in love with one, and then she gets killed. So then it's just like, what is this? Like, the main pirate captain has like 2 kids that she's like, for some reason you have to have either women or cats on a pirate ship for it to be like good luck. And they forgot to take the cats. It's kind of a funny romp, but at the same time really kind of just strange. And then I don't know, it just felt long. Too much piratey stuff. Yeah, the schemes, they end up like stealing these paintings in the end, and they turn out to be fakes, so they end up not having any money. I'm hoping in the next book they actually like try to restart like a thieves guild, and like restart the whole like having a vault and having like an underground layer and like pulling schemes. But I don't know. What's the next book called? Republic of Thieves. So maybe that'll happen. The guy that hired him, he poisoned him, but it's like a slow, latent poison that takes like months to kill you. So they keep having to come back to get doses of the antidote. And then they finally like turn the tables on them. They only got enough antidote for one of them, and Locke tricked Jean into taking it because Jean was going to like force feed it to Locke because he was already wanting to die because his girlfriend died. So now you don't know if Locke's going to live through the next book or not. I'm sure he will, but like, it's just like you're constantly dealing with these magi up their ass and being constantly poisoned and thinking you're going to die. It's always something. And then, let's see. Let's go here first. I read this novella, Dean Koontz' Odd Thomas, You Are Destined to Be Together Forever. Kind of prequel to the first Odd Thomas book. It was only like 50 pages, so that's not a big deal. I read that today. And then I read this book, Odd Hours. This one is the 4th book in the Odd Thomas series. And it was kind of like weird too. Yeah, I didn't really like it as good because it's so random. He's like, Odd Thomas is a guy. He sees ghosts, and he can do this psychic magnetism thing. And he sees this woman named Annabelle, I think. Anna Maria. And, like, she's weird as fuck. Like, they got attacked by coyotes, and she just, like, talks the coyotes into leaving, and she tells them this is not your place or something, and you don't belong here, and the coyotes listen to her. Never explained why that worked, or, like, is she, like, an angel or something? And it's like, people just give her an apartment to live in, and they give her money, and they help her out. She's never had a job. She's never... I don't think her parents are alive. They don't really explain any of this stuff. She's like this weirdo. And Odd Thomas is just kind of like fine with it. And then like these people approach her. They didn't do anything threatening, but Odd Thomas sensed there was evil about him. So he just runs off this dock and jumps into the ocean after he let her get away. And then I guess they actually did turn out to be bad guys, because it's been like 3 or 4 chapters of just him underneath this pier, walking on the wood, like trying to hide from these guys that got the harbor master's boat, and they had guns and they were looking for him. Like, why are you even looking for this guy? What do you know? What the fuck? So it turns out they were a part of this plot to like bring 4 thermonuclear weapons onto the beach in like 4 different cities. They were going to like assassinate the president and the vice president and like blow up 4 cities. And apparently Thomas foiled their plans by making them think that he worked for the government, because they didn't know who the fuck he was, and it freaked him out or something. And then he gets on this boat and shoots them all because this woman randomly knew that he needed a gun. It's just like so weird. Like, what the fuck is this? It's like, I didn't get that. Like, so much stuff didn't make sense. And then at the end, he's got this ghost that's with him all the time, right? It used to be Elvis Presley. This time it's Frank Sinatra. And he gets into the situation where he's trapped, so he has to like piss Frank Sinatra off by telling him that he wasn't as good as what the fuck is that other singer? Rod Stewart. And it makes him go poltergeist mode, just whirling furniture around, and he escapes. It's just so dumb. But it's like, I guess it worked. He's got this ghost dog that follows him around, but then he found a real dog, and both the ghost dog and the real dog. It's a book, though. Then I read Winter's Steel, the 8th book of the Wheelwright series. Yeah, that's the one. The tournament from the Uncrowned was still going on, so like half the book's finishing up the Uncrowned tournament, and it was fucking insane. I mean, you feel like you read these earlier books, and then you get to read these really good ones like Ghostwater and Unlord and Undercrown and Winter's Steel. It's not like a reward for reading the first books, but the first books were fucking real good too. It's not like a chore. But it really pays off if you invest in the series. Once you get to the later books, I mean, it's fucking amazing. I went to bed the other night, and I was like imagining the Cradle universe as a video game, and I dreamed it was happening. It was dope. And so it's like Dragon Ball Z progression fantasy, and it's just like they went past all the gold, they went to Underlord, they went to like Overlord during this tournament, because you can like start out as Underlord and still be eligible. And then he gets like, he keeps messing with his powers, and he gets like really good with his pure core. And he's kind of doing stuff that Ethan was doing that he didn't like. He's like, he becomes like the Sage of the Void at the end, which is he got the attention of the Void icon, which is like a thing that like Yeren is the Sword Sage's disciple, and she's trying to manifest the sword icon. And then she thinks she does. No, she doesn't. He ends up being the Sage of the Void. He didn't even know anything about icons. She ended up winning the whole tournament. And like her blood shadow thing that was like fighting against her, she ends up like making a deal with it and merging with it. And she becomes like a proto-herald, which is like the equivalent to a sage but different. It's like a step below a monarch or whatever. And you got this dread god, wandering titan that's waking up. And all the people that were on their team, they were gathering these points to sell them for like these diamond veins that he needed. And like his team gets like assassinated by the Blood Sage. The Red Faith, the Blood Sage, shows up and kills a bunch of them. Like, one of them he was supposed to have married because the Akura clan wanted him to marry this girl Grace, and she ends up getting killed. So dope. He like avenged them all, and he just like went badass on it. He's got this like consume ability now. The North Strider, the fucking monarch of the North or whatever, like taught him, and he just like he grabs shit and he sucks it into his arm and he absorbs it and he can get their memories and their powers and he filters their Madra through all these channels and stuff. This is dope. Like the Blood Sage, who was it? Yan Shomei. She's not the Blood Sage, but she's one of those blood people. She had this blood shadow called Crusher. It was like super strong, and he just took it and drained it. So now he's super strong. It's so dope. It's hard to explain, but you really need to get this series and read them. I think that's all I read lately. Just 4 things. And I guess now I'll be reading. I'm reading Misery by Stephen King right now. I'm halfway through that. And then I started on Bloodline, which is like book number 9. And then Republic of Thieves, I'll probably start next week. Unless I really like Morning Star or something. I really want to get into that. Second, Patrick Rothfuss, Wise Man's Fear. But I've requested it through the library, and I'm hoping the library will get a copy that I can read theirs and not mess mine up, because mine's in mint condition. But yeah, there's a lot of good stuff going on with the books.